Hi everybody, my name is Gabriel Miguel. I'm the CEO of the Anastasia Foundation, and in this video I want to share about how do we make this Kins domain dream come true in North America? How do we start to manifest Kins domain settlements? What are some ways that we can start to do this? What are some ways that we can start to manifest our spaces of love and get this really going, right, in our local areas and starting to see these settlements across the country? And so what I found really insightful was that in book 5, Who Are We?, Vladimir shares his suggestions for how people start to, he says, making it come true. That's the title of the chapter. How people can get started and organize and get land granted to them from their local governments. I think it's incredibly insightful. I think there's a lot for us to learn from. And I know for a fact that in Russia, a lot of people have gone through the process that he recommends, and they were given land by their government. And so I want to preface this with a bit of some insight I've had. I've known various people that have spoken about the Kins domain idea with local governments, small towns, county, like things of that nature. And actually they were favorable to the idea of granting out land for something like this, for something like a Kins domain settlement, right? And I want to say that the governments, especially the United States being such a large and varied collection of state and local governments, there was definitely going to be people among those governments that will want to give land for this. So I want to say that it's an achievable thing. It certainly is. Perhaps maybe universities or other large private landowners or the government or whoever would be really interested in doing this if they can see the benefits, right? If they can see what it's going to bring to their community. It's, just basically painting it that it's going to be an asset and not a liability, right? Let's dive into the chapter here. So it's Making It Come True, right? Book 5. This is a very well-loved, well-read copy of the book here. So I want to start with the first step that he outlines. He says, first, start with your own region by organizing a spearhead group that could eventually be given legal status in accord with prevailing legislation. And I'm going to stop there because I think that's really interesting. I've had various people tell me that if you get a group of like 100 or 200 people, that you can be given status as a local government. So that's pretty interesting. I think you guys can do some research into that. I forget what it's called. I had looked it up before. But I guess there's a way of forming a local government based on having 100 or 200 people. You have to everybody sign a document or sign a petition or something like that. At any rate, the first step is organizing a group of people locally, 100 or 200. Let me continue here. Some regions possibly already have readers clubs or community organizations bringing Anastasia's readers together, which could get the project off the ground there. But if you don't happen to know of anything like that in your region, you can get in touch with the Anastasia Foundation, us too, which receives a lot of correspondence on this and can provide you with addresses. I can probably help you. And by the way, a lot of people send me emails, guys. I really do my best to reply. I'm sorry if I don't get back to your email or your message, but I got a lot of stuff going on, but I'm really trying to do my best. So if you reach out, Telegram, Facebook, email, I can try to tell you if I know somebody near you. And the next step is you should appoint an authorized representative, at least temporarily or on a trial basis, someone who can act on your behalf in dealing with the authorities, submitting applications for land allotments, calling meetings when required, etc. Provide a small honorarium for your chairperson. The representative's role can be filled either by an actual person or a corporate body. He's saying, organize a group of people, organize locally. So I want to encourage everybody who's watching this video that, for example, I see people there's a huge group of people in Hawaii who've read the books. Every other day, I feel like I'm meeting someone new who's in Hawaii who's read the books. Or all the major areas, you're bound to find somebody close to you. If you start reaching out or doing some kind of activities. A strategy that I tried to do a couple of years ago was making a meetup group on meetup.org or meetup.com. So if people searched Ringing Cedars meetup or something somewhere, they could find you. You could have a local group, or maybe putting up flyers in your town or something could start to generate interest. My little town where I live in Quebec, it's only 5,000 people, but the entire Ringing Cedars series is in the library in French here, which is really interesting. Somebody did that. So there's other people here. I don't even know this person, right? So this is, I want to say there's tremendous potential for organizing locally. I want to say that that's where we need to start. I think a lot of people are trying to create a settlement, or they are wanting to manifest this dream and they want to find other people. I think like just start putting your feelers out in your local area. Start any way that you can to have a local readers group, you know? Continuing, the second step being submit a formal application to your region's local public authorities and directly to the official at the top for a single allotment of land with an area of no less than 150 hectares. The size of the allotment will depend on how many interested participants you have, as well as what kind of local resources are available. So the thing is that even if you have 5 or 10 families, the question becomes, why not take the time and submit a application to the local government and see what could happen, right? I mean, if you're in a situation where you don't have land, there's nothing that you can really lose. You have everything to gain. If they're able to grant you land on the terms that we would want, where it's rights to inheritance and all these other things, then why not do it? Why not? Even if you have a few people. You'll need to consider that in the future, your community will be home to quite a few families, and so it should include a school, club, a medical facility, and these are best supported by a significant number of people. Small communities may not be in a position to create the required infrastructure. So the third step being, in applying for an allotment, you should contact land surveyors, architects, and builders to draft blueprints for the settlement. Another important reason for this is that you will need to find out the depth of the water table under the allotment with a view to drilling wells to supply each house with running water, to determine what depth house foundation should be, as well as the feasibility of constructing a small pond in each domain. Drawing up a good overall plan for the community is also important in determining the location of the future school and play areas, as well as where the access roads should go. Create blueprints, create a plan. When you submit this plan to the local government, have some kind of a draft for what this settlement could look like. Take the 150 acres of land, divide it up every which way, position the various facilities wherever they need to be, and just go from there. The Anastasia Foundation has already commissioned competent specialists to work out a model plan, and if it is completed before you launch your spearhead group, you can consult with the foundation. It will cost you less. But then you will have to adapt the model to your own locale, introduce your own modifications, and share them with other spearhead groups. Successful proposals which have the greatest appeal will be adopted by other groups, and eventually we shall jointly put together a master design. So this is a really important point regarding our work with the Anastasia Foundation, is that that's something that I really want to do too. So if people can start going out and submitting these proposals, any of them that work, you can get in contact with us and we can make that a resource that becomes available to all the other readers, right? So we can put that on our website, make it beneficial and enjoyed by the larger Ringing Cedars community, right? Because if just one group of people goes out and does this and it's successful, you've now set a precedent. And now when you go to talk to the other local governments, you have a case. And maybe not all of them will say yes, but some of them will for sure. It's just absolutely going to happen. And there's no reason why we shouldn't, guys. The time is now, right? The time is now. You see what I'm saying? We can share these ideas with everybody, share these proposals. A service that we can provide for you guys is to take these ideas and share them and distribute them. Every success, right? We can share all these things. Fourth, after completing the design for the settlement, and this is something not only specialists but also future residents can participate in, You will receive a detailed set of schematics, including an overall plan highlighting the individual plots of at least 1 hectare each. Every participant should be formally assigned a plot of land, perhaps by drawing straws. Land use entitlements should be formalized with an appropriate legal document, drawn up in the name of the individual owner rather than the organization, as was the case in the Orville community in India. So, and another important point to realize about this is that when submitting this application to your local government, applying to have these lands, 1 hectare of land for every family for lifetime use, right? Preferably non-taxable, with rights to inheritance or passing down to your children or family members. And so I want to say that I believe this idea is incredibly important, and I want to reiterate that just one success from this can start a domino effect that can dramatically impact the future of the country. And in Russia, this is something that they did, and many people were granted land, and those communities are still active today. So I want to say the time is now for this kind of idea, and I think we're really fortunate to have such a plan. I want to say as well that to the point of bringing people from your local community together, there's a few things that I want to do and have the Anastasia Foundation do that I think can support. So I want to, on the forum, I want to create a section where it's like local meetups. So forum.anastasiausa.land. I'm thinking of doing like regional parts of the United States, so you can have the Northeast or whatever, the North, the South, the West, the Midwest, having large regions, and then people can come in there and post wherever they are, trying to create a local meetup in that area. So I think that's something that can be really beneficial. Something as well that I want to do is with the member community that we're still developing on the website. And yes, there's been some delays on that. The problem is the Google map thing that we want to have. We want to have every single Ringing Cedars reader appear on a Google map, but that has turned out to be a little bit trickier than originally anticipated, so it's just taking some time. But at any rate, in that member community, I want to create, again, a way for people to, you can create a profile on our website, and then you can create your own group. So it could be a regional group, it could be a city group, it could be a group about education, economics, or gardening, or whatever. It could be a group of your choosing, but it'll be hosted on our AnastasiaUSA.land website, which will soon be Anastasia.foundation, by the way. But it'll be hosted there. You can create your group, you can invite people to your group, and you can organize there locally. Because the problem is, how do we connect all these people? How do we meet the other families and everything? So some of you may already be fortunate to know some readers in your area or be friends with people. And I want to say, if this idea that I just shared from, book 5 is interesting to you, is appealing to you, then I would encourage you to go forward with it. You have nothing to lose except time. And everybody who tries to do this it'll be beneficial for the whole. Please consider it. I think it's super important. There's one last point I wanted to make about this. So later in the chapter, Vladimir starts to talk about this movement is still young and nobody's really in control of it at the moment. But I think that in time we shall see literate politicians coming on board who are capable of working out a relationship to the new movement on the level of federal policy making. For the time being, the Co-Creation Party functions mainly as an information clearinghouse, and he's talking about the very early stages of the movement where they created the Co-Creation Party, which turned into the Motherland Party. And so I wanted to say that this could be the beginning of the American Motherland Party, right? So if you go to our website, AnastasiaUSA.land/motherland-party, I compiled all the quotes from the books regarding the Motherland Party and the legislation that it would intend to have passed, its aims and ideals, and how it should operate. I published all of that in one centralized place on the website. Why I think that's important is because Anastasia's grandfather, is the main architect behind this Motherland Party, and he says that we should organize it based on the Veche, which is like the Veche from the early period of Novgorod in Russia, right? And so I want to encourage you guys to go on that page and read about how that was organized, but that's a really healthy way of a group of people coming together and making decisions. I think if people are going to have a spearhead group in your local areas to build, to submit these applications and start to build Kins domain settlements, or probably even in general, even if you're not going to be applying for land from the government or anybody else, I think organizing your group on the principles of this Vieche is really very beneficial and could help a lot with keeping things fair and clear and open and making sure everybody's happy. So I can probably talk about that in another video, but I'll encourage you to go to the website and read a little bit about that. That's the message for today. I hope this inspires you guys. Oh, by the way, we're still doing the fundraiser. If you want to go to anastasiausa.land/donate, we're at about $300 a month out of $950. I should have a really great update on our nonprofit status soon in the next weekly news update video. Thanks, guys.